They're saying that people are discussing that the model, who's featured on the cover of Drake's and 21 Savage Her Loss album, she's not praising Kendrick Lamar. Okay, maybe she's trying to get on the deluxe or maybe a music video. I don't know. And let's see what this is about. Let me see if I can play it.
You are the face of Drizzy's album. Yeah, Drizzy fans. Let me tell you something about music, dog. This album has nothing. How should I articulate this? This album that Kendrick put out, this is for the world. Like, we could go 2-3 songs back, and it's like, he not even talking about, bro. He's at this point in his life where he's like on some shit, like a lot of us, where you have a threshold of how much you let people play with you, and like, this is just his way of putting out to the world, nobody is playing with me. It's not just directed at him. Suki, you are the face of...
Well, I'll interject real quick, and I'll say this. Shorty might be a little bit dense in her thinking, but be very clear. This Kendrick album, and I would imagine foreseeable albums, is going to be, and I have no problem with this, by the way. I want to be very clear, because Drake's album after Meek Mill, the obliteration of Meek Mill, like, I think he dropped More Life, right? And that was the embodiment of, hey, this is me on a aggressive type of timing since y'all niggas think y'all could play with me. Look what I did to the last nigga. And that's what Kendrick is on. So I'm not saying he's speaking about Drake every line, but the energy created by the battle is still within this album. And it is the backdrop. It's the backdrop saying, look what I did to that nigga. And any of y'all other pussies want it, y'all could get it too. That is kind of what the energy is. And it is based on that moment in time and the aftermath. You got to be honest, right? Again, no problem with it because Drake also did the same, right?
We love a good rap battle. We love, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? We haven't seen something like that in a very long time, especially because traditionalism is not a thing anymore. We love a good rap battle.
Okay. Somebody said, Suki, baby, or whatever your name is, shut the fuck up. You can speak for everyone when it says nobody gives a fuck about you. No one knew you before the cover. Until to this day, your opinions on Drake will never get you anywhere but views and clicks. Someone else says, man, I didn't even know what Drake did to Suki, baby, but this ain't it. The Kendrick album is the worst shit I've ever heard in my life. I tried to listen to it from every angle, too. I don't know what the hell y'all niggas hearing. Somebody else said, man, Her Loss cover by look like this now. Now, let me pause it and let me just say this. I'm also not mad at this woman. I'm going to be very honest. I'm not mad at this woman. I'm going to tell you why I'm not mad at this woman. I'm going to be respectful. You know, Drake's my mans. But Drake's learning a very important lesson. You see how Kendrick is moving? Kendrick ain't just putting random people as his covers or giving random features for the fuck of it. Not because it makes social media sense or the metrics might line up or whatever. This kind of goes back to the fake friendship shit to me. When you give alley-oops to people who never fucked with you, you can't expect them to have some sense of loyalty after that favor has been done, and they probably have evaluated relationship to say, you don't need them and they don't need you. You know who should have been on the cover? It should have been whatever chick who been standing the fuck out of Drake. Who the fuck is this person? I don't know this person. Like, these are some of the miscalculations I think Drake did and continues to do. Because it's tantamount to me to when you name drop YG. Don't name drop YG unless you're very damn well sure he's going to have some loyalty to you. Just keep it at the game. You know the game was going to have loyalty. Keep it at the game. Just name drop the game. It looks 10 times worse where it looks like the house is falling. It's like the house is falling upon itself when it's the people you've given alley-oops. They're now coming back to say, yeah, this nigga wasn't shit. So this woman who probably had, I don't know who was the creative person who kind of hooked this up. Some people tell me it's Yachty. But this is why if you're Drake, fuck what Yachty's telling you, nigga. You should have been rocking with some people who've been loyal and rocking with you, nigga. Because look at this shit kind of do look crazy. Shorty bumping the Drake this album, telling y'all she don't give a fuck. This shit slaps. Come on. Now, granted, of course she listens to what she listened to. What I'm saying is it's a bad optic for Drake. And yeah.
We love a good rap battle. We love, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? We haven't seen something like that in a very long time, especially because tradition.
Yeah, so people are getting at her ass, huh? Somebody said, yeah, she gets it. Somebody said, man, nobody gives a damn about no Suki Baby. Is that her name? Suki Baby? What did she do? Am I saying her name right? Suki or Sucky? She look like one of them chicks that, you know, the massage parlor and be like, yo, you want Sucky? Yeah, is it supposed to be Sucky, like Sucky Baby? Or Suki? I don't know, nigga. She out right now? Suki Baby Twitch. She's on Twitch. Let's see what's cracking. Let's tune in. Oh, she has 125 people watching. Is this her? This might not be her. How did she become the cover? All right, I'm not going to watch an ad. What somebody else says. Suki Baby just joined the long list of fragile ops. I don't know. I disagree with this. How is she an op? Shout out to Suki Baby. Drake changes the album cover. I'm changing it back. Love the insight from Suki Baby. Kendrick's not just an artist. He's a force who knows when to set boundaries and make a statement. Yeah, I don't really give a damn that she really did this, but it does look bad on Drake's behalf. And again, I'm going to just keep going back to it. Bruv. You got to make better moves in having genuine relationships that you're also platforming, because at these moments, they're looking at everybody who's supposedly switching up. And even if it's the girl off the cover, which we shouldn't even give a fuck about her opinion, truth be told, right? All right, give me 1 second. Is this her? Wait, it just came on. Is this her? I don't know what this is.
Hello. Nan is now following. Hello. Kasu is now following.
What the fuck is this?
Mac is now following.
Okay. All right. Whatever. Who cares? Somebody says, "Act. Let's play a game. Let's be objective. Be objective about what? Why I act like everything I'm saying is like in Drake's favor? I'm telling you that I don't fault this woman at all. I think Drake shouldn't put fucking random weirdos on the fucking album cover. I'm sorry. You don't put random weirdos on the album cover. Like, the reason when you've chilled with rappers in a fake way and think now they're going to respect that, and then you shout them out on your diss record, and then they're dancing in Kendrick's video. I mean, we could blame them, but we got to blame you too. Stop having all type of fake ass relationships. That's my point. Okay. All right, I don't even know what I'm watching here, so I'm okay. All right, good for her. All right, did y'all see, man? So apparently, that boy Dietrich Williams, Lord crap, the boy Dietrich Williams is actually claiming that he's appealing the murder conviction. So he got life, right? He got life for killing. So this was a shooter, the tall guy. He was a shooter. He got life, and remember the judge told him, "You're gonna be locked in a cell until you die, and then when you're dead, they're gonna take out your stiff corpse, put it on a cold ass fucking thingy, and wheel you out, and we're gonna just throw you in a ditch. Like you're that's your life. It's over." So he got life. He got life. None of them got a death penalty. But the mastermind of this whole thing that killed XXXTentacion is this guy. His name is Dietrich Williams. And he's now appealing the conviction or slash the sentence. Now, Florida is a place I like. Florida is cut and dry. Florida, Texas, I like those places. You know why I like those places? It's fuck around and find out states. Okay? You get found for first degree murder, the judge don't got to be like, well, he's a good guy. He goes to church on Sunday. Life. That's it. It's either life or death. There's no like, oh, you'll be out in 20. No, it's over. Kick rocks. Come back as a fucking moose or something. All right? Maybe next lifetime you could be a frog. Okay? Maybe a spider. But for this lifetime, you're just going to be sitting here making license plates, walking around in your 4x4 cell and shitting on that goddamn iron shitter. Okay? That's it. It's over. Your life is done. And I like that. I'm not going to lie. I do like it. Now, obviously, I'm only for that when I know the person's guilty, right? Clearly, in other situations, I'm a little bit malleable. Anyway, here's the point. We know these three Negroes are as guilty as could be. Also, another reason I like Florida. These niggas are doing life, and the nigga who snitched on them, he only got 5 years. Now, I wanted him to get life too, but he helped sink these guys and whatever. You can't have everything in life. So there's another one. I'll show you that guy after. But yeah, so these guys got life, right? And now they're appealing the life. Hear how they bring Drake in. Let me tell you also the precursor before we get to it. So their whole defense was that, and this was a really stupid defense, right? It said, how do you know that we killed Drake? No, not Drake. Sorry. Ooh, wow. Let's not speak that into existence. Ooh, so let's bring that down. How do you know we killed XXXTentacion? God rest his soul. That's my guy just said. He had mad enemies. Mad niggas was beefing with him. Yo, he actually even posted himself. If something happened to me, Drake did it. Why aren't they looking at Drake? Now, they try to float these ideas that maybe these guys were innocent, or even if they may not be as innocent, Drake would be the person that should be in cuffs and should be in court because there was probably a masterminded plot to kill X, and that the prosecutors or the investigators actually didn't do a good job of investigating it because they didn't take it serious. Now, to be honest, they knew Drake had nothing to do with this, and for you retarded, and I'm sorry to use the word, but for you stupid motherfuckers who actually think Drake killed X, you're an idiot, okay? There's no more way to coddle you. You're an idiot, okay? And this is why they have helmets. This is why we have the short bus. We have a lot of things for you dumbass niggas, okay? Now, with me saying that, I'm also going to be very fair. I think Drake was whack for rapping in a sense to make it seem like he was responsible. He definitely did that, and that was corny, and that was whack. I like Drake, but that was unnecessary. I get it. Him and X had a feud. X had said something about his mother. He definitely felt personal about that, but X passed away, and X himself has a mother. I spoke with X's mother after X passed, and X's mother really has a point of contention to say, why is this guy who's alive and the biggest rapper in the world making these, vague bars acting like he got my son killed? By the way, his family doesn't think that X was murdered by Drake, but they do think it's whack and corny that Drake did that. And fuck with Drake, but That's kind of whack and corny. Okay? And also the reason why I'm saying that too, I love X. Okay? So I could acknowledge both. All right. Let's play a little bit of this. Because, okay, so these guys got sentenced to life, and now they're going through the appeal process.
As guilty as they are, because you were an essential part of that crime. When you went to spend that blood money on sneakers and jerseys, you revealed to the court the value you place on the human life that was taken.
One of the men convicted in the 2018 murder of rapper XXXTentacion is now appealing his conviction, and his legal team is focusing a lot of their attention on a major celebrity, Drake. We are going to explain the connections and the arguments as we sit down with Mauricio Padilla, the attorney for the convicted killer, Dedrick Devon Williams. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. This is in part due... It's official.
Hold on, I'm sorry.
You are as guilty.
So last year, 3 men, including Williams, were convicted and sentenced to life in prison for the 2018 killing of the star rapper. And to be more precise, they were convicted of first-degree murder and armed robbery in connection with the shooting death of the 20-year-old artist whose legal name was Jose Onfroy. Now, the jury deliberated a lot. They deliberated for a little more than 7 days before returning a guilty verdict. This was for Michael Boatwright, Dedrick Williams, and Trayvon Newsom. Now, this murder occurred on June 18th, 2018, outside of Riva Motorsports. It's a motorcycle dealership in Deerfield Beach. It's a suburb of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And XXXTentacion had just withdrawn $50,000 in cash from a bank. He was leaving the store with a friend when his BMW was blocked by an SUV. In fact, surveillance footage from the scene actually captures this shocking moment as 2 masked gunmen, later identified as Boatwright and Newsom.
Boatwright's the tall one. Newsom is the other guy. The guy who we're talking about, Dedrick, he's not there yet. Actually, he stays in a vehicle. I think he's the driver. And Fat Boy, who tells on everybody, Robert Allen, he's also in the vehicle.
Emerged from the vehicle, confronted the...
And so this tall guy here fires a lethal shot that kills X.
Rapper at his driver's side window. There is a brief but very violent exchange with one of the men shooting XXX repeatedly. Afterwards, they snatch a Louis Vuitton bag containing the cash that the rapper had just withdrawn, and they speed away in the SUV. Williams was accused of being the driver of that SUV. And the friend, by the way, who was with XXXTentacion during that attack wasn't injured, but he witnessed the murder. And the jury's deliberation was lengthy, but ultimately they concluded that the evidence presented by the prosecution was sufficient. It was beyond a reasonable doubt, enough to convict all 3 defendants. And that evidence included the surveillance footage. It included cell phone videos of the defendants flashing cash right after the shooting. It included incriminating text messages from Boatwright, including one right after the shooting saying, "Tell my brother I got money for the new phone." And then, just minutes after that, sending in a separate text message a news article about XXX getting shot. And I also have to mention the key testimony of the trio's accomplice, Richard Allen, who claimed that he was a part of
It's Robert Allen, not Richard.
this robbery, and he implicated the defendants. He pled guilty to second-degree murder for his role in this killing. Hey, so before we jump into this story, I have something I gotta tell you about. I host an...
This is an ad. Okay, so this guy's lawyer is this goof right here, right? Now, let me tell you a little bit about this goof of a lawyer. This guy is one of those guys who's probably just a, dirty shirt, bum-ass lawyer out of Florida who's trying to make his name off of this case, defending a bunch of people who, as you can tell by now, did it. This clown here, I think his name is Padilla or something like that. Mauricio Padilla, actually. He sent subpoenas to Drake, and he sent subpoenas to me. They wanted me and Drake to be deposed and possibly testify in X's murder trial. Why, you may ask? Well, this clown claims me as a blogger, and my reporting, I gave the factual timeline and story towards the beef of X and Drake. Then he wanted Drake because he felt Drake actually did the murder. This guy's an idiot. This guy was just wasting everybody's time. The reason why I talk about him, and I try not to like ad-lib it with certain things, especially when we're talking about things like this clown had somebody sit outside my house for like 3 weeks. I was in here streaming the whole time. There was a nigga out there just trying to serve me. Could you, like, fuck out of here, okay? And the whole time I'm looking, I think I'm talking through, because I have a gate thing where I could just talk to these motherfuckers. Your client's getting life. He's gonna die in jail, okay? I'm not testifying. I'm not showing up. And of course, the judge in the Florida case told him, kick rocks. We'd have to go ask a court where Akademiks lives, and I don't think they'll force Akademiks to do shit. And also, Akademiks got money. He'll probably get a lawyer. He won't testify at all. So they eventually stopped. But the same with Drake. They wanted Drake to be deposed. They tried to serve him he had a Calabasas crib. Didn't work. They didn't go to Canada, but it's kind of like weird with serving rules. They went to another place that he had. I think this is the one that was in like, not Beverly Hills, but another one in LA. And essentially they were trying to serve Drake. Obviously, you're not going to find Drake, right? Like, Drake's not just like chilling outside on his lawn, right? And even if then, it's like gated, right? So essentially, this guy's whole thing, and I'm wondering if this is what he's claiming in the appellate brief. His whole thing is that, my client only got sent to jail because y'all didn't investigate the crime well enough. The number one suspect should be Drake. And if y'all had brought in Quavo, Joe Budden, Akademiks, Drake, who else? I think they had Uzi on there. The nigga wanted like Rolling Loud in the motherfucking courtroom. They wanted a bunch of artists and entertainers to come to court to be deposed. Well, first to be deposed and then come to court to be questioned on a possible motive for X being killed. Now, that's clearly just wasting taxpayers' money. We all know the truth at this point. But now apparently he's filing this appellate brief, and now we get to hear why he's filing the brief, because he's now talking to Jesse, and let's hear what he says to Jesse.
So I wanted to talk about this with you, and we're going to get into more specifics of the appeal. But overall, big picture, big theme, what are you and the rest of the defense counsel arguing here?
Well, I am not arguing it. I'm not his appellate attorney. I was the trial counsel.
Okay, so he's not the appellate attorney, but he's still going to talk about Drake, because he had people driving up and down looking for Drake, had people stalking me outside my house, legal service, that is.
I'm just referencing what Mr. Patanzo, which is his appellate attorney, has stated in the brief. There is so many errors that it takes a while to even break it down. One of the main errors in my opinion in the case, which I had to sit through, argue, and live it, was the fact that in December of 2020, I filed a witness list. The state's reaction to that was to file a motion saying, we want the court to strike all of his witnesses, that's not even something that's legal or that you could do. You have to itemize who you want stricken. You just can't shotgun approach and say, I want all of his.
I want to be very clear here. Dietrich Williams witness list. They wanted Drake, Tekashi 6ix9ine. This shit was ridiculous. They wanted Joe Budden. They wanted Takeoff. And Takeoff had died at that time. They wanted, as I said, these niggas wanted to throw Coachella up in the goddamn courtroom. They wanted me. They wanted everybody up in there. This is why I say it's utterly ridiculous.
Defense witnesses stricken, but the state attorney did that. In a hearing that I had to defend, myself in that motion, the court didn't grant that, but the court instructed me to file a pleading, which was the nexus in my defense witnesses and what nexus they had to my theory of defense, which I argued was inappropriate because at the end of the day, you're ordering me to give the state a blueprint of what my defense is going to be. But I was ordered to do it, and I did it. When prior to Mr. Onfroy, which I'll refer to him as X for this interview because his stage name was XXXTentacion, which was the victim in this case. Prior to him being murdered, he had posted on Instagram If anybody kills me, I'm snitching right now. It's Champagne Poppy. I'm paraphrasing, but something to that effect, right? So imagine the decedent said prior to his death, if anybody kills me, it's Champagne Poppy, which is Drake's Instagram name.
Now, keep in mind, I have context for that. I was on the phone with X when he posted that. Literally on the phone. I was on the phone with him. I talked him off a ledge. Okay? X calls me one day. Has the phone in front of his face like this. Right? And he's like, yo, check your phone. He's like, Ak, you might want to post that. They caught your mans. It was a picture of a guy who looked like Drake that had semen on his face. We now get to find out it was a male porn star that was homosexual, but he looks like Drake with semen. I clearly said to X, I said, X, number one, I can't post porn on Instagram. Number two, it's not him. He's like, bro, I think it's him. Now, granted, he's trolling a bit, right? He's just trolling a bit because he don't fuck with Drake because he feels like Drake has, kind of stole his song. He felt Drake has, done a few things. I mean, to be honest, some of the things he was accusing Drake of doing, Kendrick later accused Drake of doing. I'll be very fair. He deleted that. He posted it, deleted it. He posted something else, deleted it. And he then posted something with Drake's mother. And I remember saying, I said, X, you're tripping right now. I said, if you felt, and this was my exact words to X. I said, X, if you told me, because we had a passionate talk about this, he said, Ak, this guy is so powerful. He uses people and he never extends his hand when it doesn't benefit him. I said, what do you mean? He says, when I'm in jail and I was begging, all I wanted this guy to do was even show some support for my court hearing. He didn't even have to really show up, but even if he showed up, it would have been great. They would have let me out on bail much earlier, right? I couldn't get bail, and this guy was non-supportive. But when it came time to jack my flow or whatever, he took a song or took a flow that was from my song to make a hit song. That's just a guy who's a piece of shit. Okay? Now, when he's going off and he's ranting and he's whatever, and I remember saying to him, so he's posting these things while we're on FaceTime. And I remember saying to X, I said, X, this is after he posted about Drake's mom. I said, X, you literally told me that you felt Drake had enough power to get you out of jail by just showing support. Why are you then playing with his mother? If you think he's that powerful to get you out of jail, what do you think he could do to you? And he's like, yeah, actually you're right. Everybody's now like running the whole internet because, X was one of the most popular artists of all time, if you ask me. The peak that X got to, I don't think Uzi's ever been there. I don't think Juice WRLD's ever been there. And we're talking about pre-death. Like, there was a moment that he's so white, lightning hot, I've never seen it before. I think there was a time where he got into it with Worldstar, and he told his fans to unfollow Worldstar, and, they lost, 2 million followers. This guy had so much tremendous power. In terms of a young artist, we've never seen something like that before. Subsequently and ironically, that's actually, one of the first times me and Drake started communicating as well. Because Drake reached out to me and Drake was just like, yo, Ak. I forgot what had happened. And he was just like, yo, bro, I'm not trying to antagonize X. And for me, that meant a lot. I'm going to tell you why. Drake doesn't even fuck about no artist. What I mean by, Drake's the biggest artist. But X's fans was on this nigga's ass so much that the nigga reached, I forgot what it was. He did something. And he reached out to me and said, bro, please, could you clear it up? I'm not getting at this guy. He was basically saying, I'm not dissing X. And I was like, yo, that's crazy. X's fans is going so ridiculously bonkers at Drake that Drake has to reach out. Put like this. They call him all type of shit right now. Drake he's ignoring it. Obviously, he's matured since then. And, whatever. He probably knows how to deal with controversy a little bit better. We hope, even though it doesn't look like it. But that's how crazy X's fan base was. To be very clear and very blunt, and whether y'all believe it now or whether y'all just got into hip-hop, let me just state this unequivocally. X was the only artist reasonably that could have possibly dethroned Drake in the last 6 years. Whoever you're thinking, no. X was the only one. And I do believe Drake knew that. Now, I don't think Drake thought that was ever close, but I think Drake saw the unanimous, like, outrageous amount of power that he wielded. Like, X really was the guy. And I think he reacted accordingly, right? So, so after I told him, I said, bro, if you think the guy could put you in jail, like, well, why are you playing with his mom? Or posting shit about his mom? And he said, you know what, you're right. And he's like, you know what, I'm going to just say I'm hacked. So he posted some shit, say he was hacked. Every rapper does that. Anytime a rapper said they got hacked, most likely they didn't get hacked. Especially, now, if it's some random shit, maybe they did. But if it's some shit that we know you don't fuck with Gunna, you ain't get hacked. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about Young Thug there. So he posted basically that he got hacked, and then he posted, if anything happens to me, Drake did it. And that was simply the whole context to that post. He had no conversation with Drake. Him and Drake were not going back and forth actively beefing. He didn't feel threatened by Drake, but he was a troll. He was definitely a troll. Posted a nude picture of the dude and then started posting about his mother. That's it. Okay? Somebody said Juice was goated. With all due respect, we love Juice WRLD. We're talking about peak red hotness. Peak red hotness. Juice has never touched that level. I've never seen nobody do it. I'll give you another comparison because I've been actually arguing this. I was arguing with some people last night. It was actually so interesting, but longer story. I don't want to go off thing. Y'all watch Kai Cenat, right? Today's his last day of his subathon. With all due respect to Kai Cenat, and I love Kai. Peak red hotness. Kai, if you ask me, has never been, nobody has been ever in the streaming era, been hotter than Ninja Prime Fortnite. Okay? Prime Fortnite. No one has ever, okay? Let's see. Hold on. My bad. Just got something. Gotta get. Hold on. Okay. So let me somebody said Drake texted me. No. I have a package. That's what it is. I was communicating with the package guy. Anyway, yo, here's the thing. Does anybody remember? Somebody says Kai just beat who? Nah, bro. Yeah, no. Kai's the GOAT of streaming. He's the GOAT. Kai has the most subs. Got that. Peak Ninja Fortnite, the nigga was averaging every day with no guest 300,000 people watching him. It was disgusting. That's my point. That's like, again, obviously streaming has changed since then. It just changed. But you have to realize Ninja was so popping that without a guest every day. And obviously I know he doesn't own the sub record, but you have to realize he wasn't doing subathons. He was just streaming regularly. But every time he got on, he was getting 250,000 to 300,000 people by himself. I remember when Drake went on a stream, they got over like 600,000 stream. Do you get what I'm saying? I hope y'all understand, like, you know, just that idea. So overall as a streamer, Kai is a bigger streamer than Ninja. But that one moment, let's say that's 6 months in time, when Fortnite and Ninja was like going ridiculously crazy. I don't think anyone in streaming has ever got to that. You get what I'm saying? You think I'm saying cap? I'm really wondering why y'all would think this capping. He was averaging per stream 200,000, like 200, 300,000. Kai without a subathon doesn't average that, and that's being respectful. Anyway, let me play this real quick. I gotta go to my front door. Hold on.
I laid out in extreme detail all of my defense witnesses list, which included many rappers, because at the end of the day, the victim in this case was a rapper. He had feuds, ongoing public feuds with not only Drake, but a lot of rappers that are either signed to OVO or related to Drake in some way, including 600 Breezy, which is a Chicago-based rapper, and a rapper that's from Toronto by the name of, he goes by Top 5, which is Hassan Ali. And I had to lay that all out in detail. The court was fully aware of my theory of defense. Prior to that, I filed a motion to perpetuate the testimony of Livingston Allen, which goes by the name of DJ Akademiks, because DJ Akademiks was friends with X and had posted long YouTube, content regarding this beef. He actually posted YouTube saying that he was on the phone with X discussing the issue and the beef that he had with Drake, and specifically, X had either said or posted something about Drake's mom, and he had posted a picture of a Drake lookalike with semen on his face, and he wanted DJ Akademiks to post it on his own site, and he said, "I'm not going to do that." And in that conversation, DJ Akademiks says that you better be content regarding this beef. He actually posted YouTube YouTube saying that he was on the phone with X discussing the issue and the beef that he had with Drake, and specifically, X had either said or posted something about Drake's mom, and he had posted a picture of a Drake lookalike.
Actually, and I'm sorry, by the way. I want to stand corrected because I like to be factual. Yeah, so I stand corrected. I thought Ninja was averaging like 200, 300,000. No guess, because Fortnite was so popular. They claimed that he was only averaging like 80,000, which pretty good. But like I thought he was averaging hundreds of thousands without, guess. Guess he wasn't. So if that's the case, stand corrected. And by the way, granted, overall, Kai's the GOAT. He's, come on.
With semen on his face. And he wanted DJ Akademiks to post it on his own site, and he said, "I'm not going to do that." And in that conversation, DJ Akademiks says that you better be careful, because even though, and I'm paraphrasing again, even though he's not a gangster, you may be pushing him. As a reaction to that conversation, X goes and says that he takes it out off the post off of his website or off of IG, and he says that his Instagram was hacked.
Okay,
I laid that out in my motion to
okay, this guy got good memory. Exactly what I said.
Perpetuate the testimony, which a motion to perpetuate testimony is when you have a witness that is relevant to your defense and that lives beyond the
None of that's relevant, though, if you ask me.
The jurisdictional limits of the court, and that you feel that you're not going to be able to bring them into court. So I'm basically asking the court to allow me to go to California or wherever I have to go, depose this individual, and now with his deposition, if he doesn't show up, I could use it in my defense or in my case in chief, right? So I did that, argued it to the court, and the court, in a reaction, basically said, "I'm not going to grant your motion to perpetuate testimony, just take his depo. Let's just take it." So, okay, fine. I set a notice of hearing, went and served Drake in his castle in Beverly Hills.
There's something that you mentioned, and I want to talk about this. So first of all, there was this deposition that was taken of XXX Tentacion's mother, Cleopatra Bernard. She testified that Onfroy had this ongoing feud with Mr. Graham, Aubrey Graham, Drake. She said this feud with Graham included throwing shots at Onfroy and lyrics from one of Graham's songs. You mentioned that controversial statement that he made, "If anyone tries to kill me, it was Champagne Poppy." The question I want to start with as we get into the Drake conversation, are you arguing, were you arguing, or his appellate attorneys arguing that Drake was a part of this killing, that he was the one who did this? Or are you arguing that it should have just been allowed, you should have been allowed to present evidence to suggest there were other potential leads that law enforcement really didn't look at into this case? So again, what are exactly we suggesting? Are you suggesting that Drake had a part in it, or that just it wasn't looked into and it shows a sloppy investigation and not a fair trial?
Well, in the brief and in what I was arguing in court is the latter. We are a defendant has every right to defend himself and to show reasonable doubt wherever it may be, and to fully investigate and articulate to a jury an alternate shooter defense, or an alternate, a defense where someone else, committed this crime. Am I going to sit here and tell you that Drake was holding a gun or Drake? But the facts, as they are stated by X's own mother, is that she knew about the beef with Drake and with Migos. She knew about the violence between Migos and her son, where there was a violent episode. She knew about 600 Breezy, which is a known admitted gang member from Chicago, going to South Florida and posting on social media saying that he's blicked up, which means that I have a gun, and she was concerned about it. She testified in the depot that she discussed it with her son. She testified that the reason that she wanted additional security with him the day he died was because of this beef with Migos and everything that we're discussing. So it was relevant. And for many months during the trial, January, February, even February 7th of 2023, the judge is agreeing with me. Okay, now there comes a moment and a hearing. He goes ahead and Drake hires after the judge enters.
I think Drake has Bradford Cohen go in court for him to squash it.
A rule to show cause, basically saying a purge date. You have to appear for depot on this day, or I'm going to do a writ of bodily attachment. He then goes and hires Brad Cohen, a friend of the show, friend of mine as well, an excellent attorney. And Brad files several motion to quash the subpoena, and he files a motion for protective order. We go back and forth, and the judge says, and the first time that Brad shows up to court, he says, you know what, I'm gonna quash the rule to show cause. He's hired counsel. You guys can communicate and figure out when this step was gonna happen. Okay, so we go back and forth. We can't agree to it for various reasons, and I'm not going to get into settlement negotiations
Sure.
on the show, but we can't agree. We go into court February 24th, I believe, on his motions. At that time, James Beard, which is the process server that served Drake, appeared as a witness, and I wanted to show video that he took of the actual attempted service, where it shows Drake's bodyguards, or the people that are in front of his house, refusing to cooperate. It showed one of Drake's employees kicking the subpoena down the road that leads to his mansion. And the judge didn't allow me to show that. Despite not allowing me to put forth that evidence, the judge did a 180 from telling me to figure it out, coordinate it, take the depot, did a 180, told me, why are you involving him? Granted the motion for protective order, granted the motion to quash my subpoena, allowed Mr. Cohen to argue California law without having a California expert there, and basically kind of chastised me about why are you bringing them into it. And as a matter of fact, we had taken the deposition of one of X's relatives regarding this beef, and she denied it. And the court said in open court, even his relative said that it didn't exist. And I said, yeah, well, she's lying, because the whole world knows about this beef. So for her to sit here and say that she didn't know about it it's on her credibility. So despite all of this, he does a 180.
This guy is trying to relitigate the situation. I'll give you the short with it. The way how the law works is, And by the way, this was all taxpayers' money. So who knows? They probably wasted thousands of dollars paying some guy to sit outside my house. I just call it security, okay? You'll just be the extra security outside the crib. Because you're a process server. You're not going to see me, right? You're not going to see me coming or leaving. You're not going to serve me, right? And the only reason I didn't duck service, because, that would be unethical. But all of this was being paid for by the tax-paying citizens of Florida. If you talk about redundancy, the tax-paying citizens of Florida had to pay for this guy to fund a defense strategy that included chasing rappers, celebrities, media personalities around and trying to bring them to court to depose them. Now, he's right. So basically the judges said, yo, you can't get all of these guys who are high profile people to show up to court as your witnesses. This is going to take all fucking year. If you need to do that, go get a deposition from them. And if then that deposition becomes material to the case, maybe at that point we could push it up further to get these guys in court, right? Because you got to imagine, I don't live in Florida. Drake doesn't live in Florida. Takeoff didn't live in Florida. Joe Budden doesn't live in Florida. So anyway, what eventually happens is that he claims that he tried to serve Drake multiple times. And this is the part he's leaving out. This is state court, not federal court. And also, you're not a federal officer or even a law enforcement officer. You're just a lawyer, a defense attorney at that. So he brings the situation to this judge and he says, yo, we have to force Drake to get here. Now, this judge, he has zero power of forcing a resident outside of Florida to show up in court. Okay? Now, we could put a subpoena in, but that subpoena means nothing if the person's not a resident. Essentially, a court in California would have to review a subpoena, then choose whether to respect it and force their resident to then acknowledge that subpoena. Keep in mind, this is not a warrant. This is nothing like that. This is, you're supposed to be deposed as a witness, right? In I guess you could call it an investigation that's being held by this defense attorney. So this judge kind of told him like, yo, I can't force Drake to come. Y'all, it's going to take a lot more and we got to go through California courts. And bro, that's going to take forever. Like, are we going to do this case or not? So that's when Drake hires a lawyer. They kind of figure it out, but Drake is still saying no. Why? Drake doesn't want to get deposed. In a deposition, we've all seen this deposition, right? Like the Lil Wayne deposition. This deposition was jokes, right?
Album, the Carter. What's your name again?
Yeah, so that's exactly what it would have been, right? Now, granted, it would have probably been on Zoom, but yeah, they would have recorded that shit. You would have heard all type of stuff. So Drake, he paid money to get his lawyer to kind of like fend that off. So this guy is talking about how he's like he was restricted. It's like, no, the judge tried to help you out. It's just that he can't force celebrities, number one, who are going to have a lawyer, good lawyer, Bradford Cole, one of the best, and also people that don't live in a state to come run, jump, and adhere to your subpoena for deposition.
He not only grants the motion for protective order, basically saying that I can now serve him again.
Okay.
And it quashes the subpoena, but the state attorney, sensing there's blood in the water, says, Judge, I'm going to renew my motion to strike all his witnesses. Okay? Or tennis, no notice. And he says, I'm not going to do that, but I am going to strike Mr. Graham. So he struck in the middle of the trial, he struck Drake from my witness list, which is completely inappropriate, considering the history of the case.
Talk to me real quick about why you think the judge did this, because in the appellate brief, and correct me if I'm wrong, there is an accusation that the court might have been biased because of Drake's celebrity status. Correct me if that allegation is wrong. And in your opinion, why do you believe the court ultimately wouldn't allow the deposition of Drake?
I'll say that Judge Usan was a complete gentleman to me, and it was a pleasure to try the case in front of him. I do think that he made various reversible errors, and I think from the beginning he made a lot of calls that were unconstitutional, not legal. This being one of them. I don't want to speculate as to why, but when you're dealing with someone like Drake, which he's not a celebrity, he's a super celebrity. He's like in the stratosphere of fame. So when a judge does a 180 like that, I'll let the viewers or other people figure out why they think that it happened, but I'm not gonna speculate as to why it happened. But
no, I get that. I get that. I do want to ask you about this because this is another part of the appeal. And that is with respect to the testimony of this gang expert, which was excluded in a pretrial hearing. And the defense, my understanding, wanted to call Jesse De La Cruz, who they had claimed, discovered visual evidence that Drake could have had ties to the same organization as a co-defendant in this case, Robert Allen. And I believe the brief states, Dr. Cruz's research revealed photos of Mr. Graham throwing the same gang signs as Allen. And Allen is that accomplice who I mentioned before who testified against his co-defendants. But Cruz also revealed that people who knew Drake were allegedly seen in XXXTentacion's neighborhood threatening him before he died. The brief reads, social media posts showed these same known Graham associates were seen in Onfroy's neighborhood threatening him just prior to the murder. And then they say even more revealing is this connection that Cruz made to Drake's song lyrics, because shortly after XXX was killed, the brief writes, Mr. Graham released a song entitled Triple X with suspicious lyrics. SMS Triple X, that's the only time I shot below the neck. And Dr. Cruz found another connection between the murder.
Appropriate for an expert to testify. I don't believe that was a legal call. I think it was error for him to do that and not allow us to put forth that testimony. And we put up pictures of Drake with Lil Wayne throwing up a Bloods gang sign and other evidence that Drake is out there flaunting gang ties. We put forth evidence of Hassan Ali, which is top 5 out there openly claiming on social media and video that he's Drake's shooter.
Yeah, he's Drake's shooter.
And part of the theory of defense is to show, listen, even though these people are entertainers, okay, there's a gang related portion of it. There's a gang related side to it. And X's own mother testified that she knew about this, that she knew about when 600 Breezy traveled from wherever he was, whether it's Chicago to South Florida. She knew about it. She talked to him about it. So this case had more than ample evidence and ample reason to involve a gang expert.
To be clear, though, you were allowed to argue that someone else could have been responsible for this killing because you cross-examined Allen on cross-examination, suggesting that he had this link to Drake. But my understanding is you're arguing now that the trial court had put limits on your cross-examination of Allen, that violated your client's rights. Am I misunderstanding that?
No, you're 100% correct. And they did it not only with Allen, but they did it all throughout the trial.
Okay.
With Allen admitted that his father, known drug dealer, known firearms dealer, as the brief states, produced at least one of the guns that was used in this. When I asked him about his father and ties to Toronto and drug dealing, the state objected and the judge didn't allow that question. So it was a constant battle for me to try and basically do my job and show where reasonable doubt existed. With Allen, with Detective Curcio, the problem here is also that the state attorney, on direct of Detective Curcio, which was the lead detective in the case, she asked, do you have any information that Drake was involved in this? And that was before the court struck him. So whatever the reasons may have existed, the moment that state attorney opens up their mouth and says that, now he's really at issue because now
you're opening the door. You're opening the door to that coming in.
Yes. And not only was it an issue of her mentioning it with Detective Curcio, but she asked him, you actually were able to verify.
All right, this guy's just blowing air.
None of this was in the report. So you felt it important enough to check and verify whether or not he was in South Florida, but you never memorialized it in your report, and I'm not allowed to ask about it.
Well, did he also testified, Detective Curcio, that he learned that Onfroy, XXX, had been attacked by members of Migos, right? Migos is the rap group that's associated with Drake. Was that came in, and again, you weren't able to expand upon that?
Not only did that come in, but when I asked him in cross-examination, isn't it true that the first time that the name Migos comes out in this case was a month after the murder in the first conversation that you yourself had with the cooperating co-defendant Allen?
And that there's also an objection that
Howard County to do
new trial is granted. How does that work? Because now it's about the timeline of events. What should we expect?
You know what? I don't
This
practice
last
appellate law, and those are questions that I don't really want to give misleading answers to.
Okay, fair enough.
So I don't want to give the wrong answers regarding appellate. I don't really do appellate law, but at some point they're going to file a responsive brief, and I think that the court could invite. I think the way it is nowadays, the court can invite oral argument. When I first started practicing law, you had the right to give oral argument. I think now it's only by invitation when the appellate court wants to hear your arguments. But yeah, I mean, listen, when I read this, this was an 11-week trial. The jury was out 8 days. It's not like if the jury didn't think about it and came back in 90 minutes and convicted our client. The jury struggled. They had to have struggled because 8 days is. I've never had a case that the jury's been out that long, and it was clear that they had questions, and I really wasn't able to properly defend my client. Mr. Williams did not get a fair trial. When I read this, I think there's like some kind of a defense mechanism when you try a case for 11 weeks that you start forgetting things. When I read this, it brought it all back, and it reminded me of really how unfair the judge was with Mr. Williams, and the detrimental effects that it had for me to be able to properly defend my client.
Well, listen, Mauricio, I appreciate you coming on here, pleading your case.
This guy's full of shit. He's still trying to get clout and whatever from it. These guys killed X. They're gonna rot in jail. That's just the end of it. Drake is still tasteless for how he handled X's death. Your little sub disses after the guy died, we're just not gonna respect it. Okay, you're not a drill rapper, so please stop it. So that's just really what it is. Queen of Topics TV, thank you for the donation. She says, Ak, since you have all these connections to Drake, you better tell him to get out of the U.S. He's suing UMG, and this comes up. It's not a coincidence. I'm going to be honest with you. I not only agree with you, I think we're going to see things about Drake in the coming months, in probably a year or two, that you've never seen before. I think when you start barking up the wrong tree, the really easy way to calm you down is to let you know how protected you were. For example, if you are a big celebrity, I knew I got to a certain point when, trust me, if somebody's around me right now, they slip and fall, they're ready to sue me. There was a time that nobody wanted to sue me, right? And I'm not just saying that bragging, because actually it's not a good thing. But I'm saying that because all of these people, including Drake, you know Drake previously settled a sexual assault lawsuit, right? These are things that he buried, and it never became anything. And it probably was cap anyway, but the point is this. Drake kept pretty much a very clean image until this battle. I think that's going to stop. I think we're going to see people come out the fucking woodworks. And I think some of them are going to be seeded by maybe people that don't like Drake, or maybe the people he's going at, UMG. And when I mean UMG, I don't mean UMG directly, but people who have interest with that, right? That I think Drake's reputation is going to go through the mud. I think Drake, now going at UMG, is going to lack the protection. And to answer your question, where you said, I seen you commented on your own donation. You said you're worried about him being like Diddy or getting done like Diddy. Well, the truth and the reality of that, even though we do know the Diddy charges are, they're a little bit open for interpretation, because people keep saying the same dumb shit of, well, if you fly a girl out and blah 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 and da da da, you could have sex trafficked too. Not necessarily. The point is this: I don't foresee Drake getting locked up, right, because of some headlines. But Drake used to be the guy who talks tough or talks street coded in rap music. But when he drops a very like I think Tootsie Slide's the perfect example. He drops a song that all kids could like, But if you really peel back the layers of the lyrics, he's talking about sliding. He's talking about getting people killed. Really. That's the real meaning behind the lyrics. But on face value, it's a dance song. Right foot up. You get what I'm saying? Drake has been a very clean image guy. He's been to the point where some people look at him as Disney Channel. Could be on a cereal box. Doesn't say anything, whatever, that goes outside that regular mold. Now, I'll be the first to tell you that it was starting to change about 2 years ago because Drake started pissing off the feminists. I ain't gonna lie to you. So when Drake would send shots at Meg Thee Stallion, or, there was a whole like shade on Twitter saying that Drake's music was now getting misogynistic, which was like, that's very ironic given the fact that Drake's music was the music that the majority of women used to quote as their tweets on social media. How could that person be anti-woman or, for the suppression of women? People always say that Drake was a simp. I got my eyes on you. Hold on, we're going. Like, he used to make records damn near simping. But the theory and the thinking around Drake and the music has been making, especially even getting up to For All the Dogs, is that the music has been getting a little bit darker and misogynistic, according to the woke people. And the point is this. When you get to the point where they're now evaluating his relationships with women, it's very much a possibility. Like, I don't want to speak nothing into existence, but I do believe we're going to see some shit pop out about Drake. You know why? Because sometimes the atmosphere breeds what you're going to see. The atmosphere right now for Drake breeds believability. If you're a woman who Drake ran through, which he ran through a lot of them, he ran through a lot of niggas' wives, baby mamas, sisters, cousins, all of that stuff. Some of these people are disgruntled. I'm not saying that means it's completely false, but in the era of trying, and this is why I mentioned that he had a situation that, he settled or whatever. You never heard about that. Now, because the atmosphere that Kendrick created and probably other people are going to be like, you know what? Let's amplify anything to do with Drake being seen legally as whatever, or being seen legally as he's not like us in terms of cultural, right? Or let's kind of hype up a story. Like, people file appellate briefs all the time, right? This is a big story that they're saying Drake might have been the killer. Why is this coming back around? That's a really shrewd way to, we're going to bury this nigga also with headlines. And that's why I agree with you. In the next year or so, I think we're going to see lawsuits and stories, disgruntled chicks popping out the woodworks. And a lot of it is going to be because he went at UMG. Not UMG directly doing it to him. But when you do buck at the system, you do realize that the system have protected you. I think that's one of the only, I don't know if it's a misstep yet because it's pretty early with what Drake is doing. The system protects a lot of people. And once that protection is gone, it's the Wild Wild West. I don't know if Drake wants to be in the Wild Wild West, but clearly he does because he's getting at UMG. Anyway, so I agree with you on that point. Let me just finish this and then we'll pivot to something else.
Pleading for these facts these arguments that his appellate team will be making now to a higher court, breaking it down for us, because it can get a bit complicated in the weeds, but you really made it clear for us. So thank you so much, Mauricio Padillo, Mr. Williams' lawyer. Thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much, Justin.
All right, everybody, that is all we have for you right now here on Sidebar. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jesse Weber. Speak to you next time.
Somebody pointed out to me, and I kind of agree. I think CLB started a very different perception that women have been having about Drake. It's like almost like they were feeling like Drake was leaning into some of this red pill ideology stuff. You even hear people like Joe Budden say, yo, Drake, you're appealing to red pill niggas, right? And a lot of the music that women still consume from Drake, they're now putting a tint over it to say, yo, this shit kind of misogynistic a little bit. Like, for example, do you remember when, this is For All the Dogs, Halle Berry, she slammed Drake. She was like, Is this it? I don't think this is it. So she had slammed Drake for using a photo of her getting slimed on Nickelodeon to promote his song with SZA called Slime You Out. This was the picture. And her quote was this. She said, hold on. Da-da-da. She said, sometimes you got to be the bigger guy, even if you're a woman. Okay? She didn't volunteer in specifics. Fans were quick to make the connection. She was talking about Drake. One commenter asked Halle Berry if her thoughts on the photo using Drake for the that Drake used for the single. To which she addressed the reason for her post. She says, Drake didn't get my permission. That's not cool. I thought better of him. In a follow-up, she continued, hence my post today. When people admire, disappoint you, you have to be the bigger person, move on. She commented, it's about principles and integrity. Okay? Now, obviously, this isn't a microcosm, but I do believe that there's slight, like the perception of Drake a little bit has been changed, and it just hasn't been Disney Channel anymore, right? And you know, he used to get knocked for that, but that was a good thing for him. Where on a codified way, he could kind of talk, like he would be on stage scheming with Rick Ross and French Montana. Yo, it bothers me when the guys acting like the bras. It gets every team to complete with niggas like ours. That's why, you know, that's what I'm saying. That's why I asked, and when you see me next time, just speak up, nigga. That's all. You get what I'm saying? He did an amazing job of kind of being very, like, almost brand friendly, but still extra spicy. Like, he would name drop, you know, some of the, like, there was a time, Toronto politics, right? Like, Toronto Star, Drake. One time they ran an article saying that Drake was a mob boss or whatever. And then they also pointed out that one of Drake's friends, like close friends, got killed. His name is Fifth. Drake later tatted him. Drake Fifth. Tattoo. This is the tattoo. Now, let me just tell you why I'm saying this. That's the perfect balance to be. The mainstream thinks you're an angel, but the people who are tapped in feel you know the real and you're really into the shit. It's on both realms, because not only when he's talking about street shit, but also even with females, where like he's also kind of on a different coded way, kind of speaking about females in a certain way, rather than they're from the strip club or not. And like culturally you get it, but it don't come across like he's saying, fuck these bitches. If anything, it looks like he's being overly nice. It looked like he's simping more than anything. That started to change a bit. You get what I'm saying? And why am I mentioning this? I'm mentioning this because I you know, going back to the comment that Queen of Topics said, I absolutely do think that Drake is about to see some shit that's gonna be unbecoming of his character. He's gonna see people file lawsuits, and I think I don't think there's nobody to stop it. That's the point. There's nobody to stop it, right? There's nobody who says, hey, listen, shorty, you can't file this goddamn whatever lawsuit talking about just because he pumped you and dumped you, you now feel that he manipulated you or blah, 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 so you want to claim this. Those things that were in place to stop that, I think that's going to evaporate.
So, you know, the boy Drizzy Drake. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. So, Drake went on a little unfollowing spree as of recently. And, you know, he unfollowed LeBron. He unfollowed Playboy Cardi. He unfollowed Kendrick Lamar. You feel me? Honestly, I don't know why Drake never unfollowed them from the get-go. He unfollowed DeMar DeRozan. DeMar DeRozan is one very fake guy. I'm not gonna lie, like, you have to think of it from the point of view, if your position was switched with Drake, you mess with all these guys so heavy, and you feel me, one guy calls you a pedo, like, those are some serious allegations, man. Like, that you like little kids, especially in, like, the position Drake's in, and they're rocking with this guy heavy and, like, supporting him. What? Like, bro, come on. Like what X said at one point, With friends like these, you never need enemies. Like DeMar DeRozan in the video, LeBron at the concert, bopping his head. You feel me? Playboy Cardi not clearing songs for Drake, which is so insane. Playboy Cardi doesn't clear a song for Drake. Like, the reason why it's so insane, the type of music that Playboy Cardi makes and all that stuff, with those little like noises and stuff, 5 to 10 years from now, the Playboy Cardis, the Ken Carsons, all that stuff, gone, washed up. Probably drug addicts. You feel me? You might catch them on the side of the road looking like drug addicts. They don't know what to do with themselves. Cardi has no personality. You never hear from Cardi, so he probably could do merch and stuff. 5 to 10 years, Cardi's probably gonna be like, you feel me? The way I see it is, if I don't think Lil Wayne fell all the way off, but if someone like Lil Wayne could like be at a lower level at rapping, anyone could fall off. That's the way I see it. And no one this day and age really ever reached Wayne's level for real. So yes, they could all fall off. Like, Wayne could go and tour and have a bigger tour than damn near every single rapper now. But someone like Drake, the type of music Drake makes and all that stuff, Drake's cool. Drake doesn't even need rap. So, feel me? But hey, man, I hope Drake unfollows more people. There's definitely more people who deserve to unfollow. It's your boy Big Act News, though. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I am out.